Hello everyone, I'm sorry I couldn't be there today. Sadly, I have to attend a funeral. Luckily, the power of technology makes it possible for me to explain a bit about Pierre Bourdieu and his social capital. Anyways, the reason why we have chosen the social capital aspect is because it really underlines the meaning of the modal verbs. The social capital is our network. So our social capital can be small or it can be large or something in between. But how we develop this social capital is actually depending on our language. And the language is important because that is what we use in social interactions when we are communicating. So, as you can see, when we are trying to engage in new different fields, the language becomes really important to master, and therefore we have to make sure that our language suits the social expectations. And modal verbs are pretty good to get around or showing how we respect the social expectation. I will give you an example. So an example could be me. I'm at my boyfriend's parents' house. It is the first time I'm there, and the field for me is new. I know the social expectations are that their beautiful and very clever boy has brought a nice girl home. Therefore, they're expecting me to show respect. And since I'm a guest at their house, respect is something that is just in the social expectations, implicit. Yes. I'm very thirsty and I need a glass of water. The right way to use modal verbs to make a social interaction in a respectful way would be me asking like this. You know what? I'm really thirsty. Can you please, or may I please, have a glass of water? May I please would be the most polite way for me to ask. And this shows a great deal of respect for my boyfriend's parents, that I'm not bossing her around or making orders for her to make my stay at their house as comfortable as I wanted, on my terms. I'm in their field, therefore I need to interact on their terms. A wrong way or a disrespectful way for me to navigate in this new field could be me asking like this. You know what? I need a glass of water. I need to have a glass of water right now. Well, since it is my boyfriend's parents, they would probably say something back in a, I don't know, they could say something back because it's a very disrespectful way to ask for a glass of water when, as I said, a guest, when you're a guest. And therefore, I'm actually not cooperating with the social expectations in this new field, and therefore my language doesn't make it possible for me to engage in this new different field. And this is a great example of why modal verbs are so important to understand, because really the meaning of the sentence is I want, or I'm thirsty, I need water, right? But the way that I'm asking for it is really depending on which modal verbs I choose to use. And back to the social capital in this modal verbs circus, if that makes any sense, in all of in the talk, in the speech of modal verbs, social capital is really affected by how we use modal verbs. Because in the first example I gave, I used may, and this really gives a positive effect on my social capital because I am interacting by the social expectations. I am being respectful, and this will give, as I said, a positive effect on my social capital, which will make it easier for my network to grow, and it will make my social capital higher. In the other example, I was rude, I was disrespectful, I was doing it on my terms. You could say that my cultural capital didn't fit the social circumstances, since I was being arrogant when I was in a position where I was a guest. And when you're a guest, you have to figure out how the field works because you're the new kid, right? So we used Pierre Bourdieu just to make it clear that modal verbs have a really big impact on the language meaning, and the meaning of the language gives us, or creates the meaning of us, how other people look at us, and therefore also our social capital, and therefore our social capital, and that's it.